If you're on a PC, right-click on your own video and select Rename. If you do not want your image to be on screen, you can simply turn your video off. Now, we are all enriched by your presence and your participation, so enjoy and join in. Brenda?
Isn't he awesome, you guys? I mean, it's like, I
I
know
think he
you
should
know
be
this
on
is,
the radio.
I know you know this is, and by the way, we have two Kenneth Langs in the house. Look at them. You guys are almost twins. A little bit. I'm a little bit. We have two Kenneth.
We're-
So fun. It's
We're
so
long
funny.
lost brothers, yes.
The
Yeah,
Kenneth
for
Lang
sure.
that is with the, you guys have similar backgrounds. I would say the wooden door behind you is in Metro Detroit. Somebody, who was it, introduced us? Do you remember who it was?
I think you did.
No, but somebody else reached out and you referenced, somebody said to find me or the job hours or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember.
I don't know. But anyways, he reached out to me and I'm like, I did like the double, triple take. And I'm like, is somebody spamming my other friend, Kenneth Lang's account? And I looked up your account, like, no, this guy's legit. So I immediately said, there's two of you. And I did like an email or a message intro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. At any rate, good morning, my friends, and welcome all of you to our weekly VIP Job Seeker Office Hours. My name is Brenda Meller. I am your host for this morning, and I am joined by a group of individuals that are going to help me to make this meeting run very smooth. It's already been happening. If you are regular to our meetups, you know that we had a little hiccup this morning, and I don't make mistakes. None of us make mistakes on the call. It's not because we're perfect. We're pretty close to it, but we don't call them mistakes. We call them learning experiences. So when we have a learning experience on our calls, I like to say, what happened? Let's like walk through it so that we can all learn from it, because that's what a learning experience is all about. So today's learning experience was, in my part, I had changed the Zoom for 2023, kind of just clean house, make sure everybody that has the link has registered already. And in the process of creating a new Zoom, I forgot to disable the thing that says participants have to enter a passcode. Now I'm going to try to figure out if I can disable it for all the meetings moving forward. But if you're on the call, you figured it out. And I think there was two workarounds. One was log into your Zoom account. I think I heard from a couple people, and then you could bypass the passcode because it knew that it was you. The other is if you had the passcode, you got in. So that was a little bit of a learning experience. And a bigger picture, it's thinking about, like, you as a job seeker, technology is great when it works, right? Technology can be super frustrating when it doesn't work, or you might encounter a situation like this morning where you registered for the meeting. Maybe you're a newbie, very first time. And if there are any first timers, go into chat right now and just type in first time. I'm curious who's new to us, this group, but you might be the first time coming into this meeting. And you're like, I've heard all these great things about it. And then you come to the door and you knock on Zoom and Zoom says, sorry, you have to enter a passcode. What a terrible customer service experience we're giving you, right? But I want to let everyone know that we do have a private unlisted group on LinkedIn. Paige, my intern, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind dropping that link into chat right now. The group is where we go when you have questions. And the story I was telling before we started live, I'm going to retell it right now, is think back when you were in elementary school and you would have fire drills or tornado drills and all these things. Now they have like lockdown drills is what they call them. So scary. But at any rate, fire drills, they would talk about it at school. And I remember, like, every now and again, they'd have a firefighter come in and talk about what to do at home. And they would give you like a checklist. Do you have an escape plan? Like, where's the doors and the windows that you can get out of your house, right? And they would also say, does your family have a meeting place? Because if it's 2:00 in the morning and the house is on fire and you're in your bedroom on the second floor and you've got a ladder you can get out or whatever, you go out that way, right? And maybe your brother, whose bedroom is in the front of the house, he goes out the front window. Maybe mom goes down, she knows that everybody's out, so she goes out the front door, and dad fell asleep watching sports on, ESPN, and he's sleeping in the basement, and he got out the basement back door. Now you're all at different exit points. You got to figure out what's the meeting point. So you as a family should agree, we're going to meet at the house that's 4 doors down. They have a flagpole. So we're all going to meet at the flagpole. Our group on LinkedIn is your flagpole. Okay. So I want you to remember that if you are ever encountering difficulties getting into these Zoom calls, I want you to go to the group and post there and say, does anyone have the link to get in? I can't find the passcode. My link is not working. Go there. I did get a flurry of texts and email. Kenneth was the first one. He texted me, I can't get in. And then I got a couple emails, and then I got some LinkedIn messages. And then I went into the group and found there was a couple people posting in the group as well. But go to the flagpole, go to the group first, because after we start the calls, if it's just you, I'm not monitoring email now. I can't. I tried cloning myself. It didn't work out very well. So there's only one of me. So once I'm going on here, I'm only on here and I can't get to your messages. Go to the group, meet us at the flagpole, 4 doors down, right? And post inside the group. Someone else from inside the group here will be monitoring and we will message you back. Okay. Or someone will come on the call and say, Brenda, Jay Colin's trying to get in. His link's not working. Can you give him instructions? And then I'll turn the floor over to Kenneth and I'll go out and help Jay, because I'm not going to leave anybody abandoned. Part of the reason we do these calls every week is so that you feel like you have a team that you can come to. Because when you worked in your corporate job or your employer, right, you were part of a team. And then all of a sudden, one day you weren't. God, that's jarring, isn't it? And I've been through this now twice in my career, where one day I was part of the thing, right, the corporate system, and helping, and I was sitting around the table and doing the things and putting in the hours and helping people out. And the next day I wasn't. They were told you're no longer part of the company, right? Like, how odd is that? And from a psychological standpoint, we as human beings like being around other people. We like being a part of a community, right? And you might miss that, right? And it's not the fault of your coworkers that you're not there. It's the decision of the company to remain viable, that you're no longer part of a team. And you might miss on that, being a part of a team. So I want to invite you. This is your team now. We are Team Social Media Pie. You can use that hashtag if you're on social. I call social media pie because I have this approach to using LinkedIn, which is all about social media karma, helping others and paying it forward and sharing tips and insights with others. And I actually wrote a book called Social Media Pie. By the way, I'm going to do a book giveaway at the end of our call today. This gentleman, who is a realtor in Florida, apparently what happened is he bought a copy of my book on Amazon. And then he got it. And when it goes through Amazon, I don't get notification. It just goes out, and he got it. And then another couple of days later, Amazon sent him a second copy of it. And he sent me a check in the mail. And he said, I got 2 copies of it. I only paid for one. Here you go, because I don't want you to be out on the revenue. And I'm like, Amazon probably paid me for 2. I don't really know. But at any rate, I'm really big on karma and, like, you know, having equalization in the universe of things. Like, if I find a $20 bill outside, I will not keep it. I will donate it. I will give it to somebody who is willing, who is needy of that, rather. Same thing. If somebody mails me a check for a book that I don't know if I earned revenue on or not, I'm like, I can't keep this because that would be bad karma, right? It would be negative. So I'm going to give away a copy of this at the end of our call today. I'm going to include Charlie's business card on the front, because what I would ask of the winner is that you message Charlie on LinkedIn, let him know that we did a book giveaway, that you won the copy, and just thank him. You know, he's on LinkedIn and he's obviously using the techniques. So social media karma, this is our team social media pie. This is a place you can come to week after week. We normally go from 10 to 11 a.m. Now, today we started at about 10:15. So I'm going to make the decision. We're going to go to at least 11:15 today so that we all get the full hour. We are broadcasting this on YouTube. I'm going to ask Paige, my intern, if you could please grab the YouTube link for this call and drop it into chat. That way, if anybody joined a few minutes late, you can watch the playback starting from the beginning. Or as we go throughout our call today, we're going to be sharing success stories. We're going to be giving tips to you, and we're going to be introducing each other. And by the way, if you've not already done your introduction, go into chat right now. I'm going to put my example introduction in there so you can see what you should put. By the way, I don't type that fast. I use a service called Text Expander, where I put like a shortener code in the chat and it populates the whole thing. It's a really cool service. At any rate, what you want to do is go into the Zoom chat and tell us your targeted job title, maybe 1 or 2 job titles that you are looking for in your search. I want you to tell us your targeted geographic area, meaning where in the world are you located? Even if you're looking for a remote role, we want to know where you're located. And especially if you're looking for a job in a geographic area, that's really important. And then I want you to put your LinkedIn URL in the chat as well. To get that LinkedIn URL, you have to go to your LinkedIn profile, go on your profile, and then in the address bar at the top, you want to grab that entire code, which is the HTTPS//LinkedIn. Make sure the HTTPS is in there because then it's blue and it's clickable inside Zoom. I'm just going to show you if I don't put the HTTPS, and if you look inside chat right now, you can see as an example, it's not blue and it's not clickable. Now, the benefit of this is week after week, when you come in these calls, you might see new names that are in there. And what you can do is you can start to multitask. You can open up their profile in another window, invite them to connect with you. When you invite them to connect, I want to encourage you to mention that you saw them on today's call. So mention that, hey, we were both on Brenda's Friday call, or both on the VIP call, whatever. Give them some reference point on there. It's a really great way of growing your network. And I also want you to read through the chat and see what people are looking for. So if you hear of a procurement sourcing position in Toronto, we want to refer that to Don Xavier that's on the call, right? So I want you to look over those descriptions because you never know when you're going to stumble upon an opportunity that's going to help someone here on the call. By the way, you can also post job postings inside our private unlisted LinkedIn group, our flagpole, right? So go inside that group. You're going to see that people do frequently post job postings they come across, resources for job seekers, articles, sometimes humor, comics and gifts and things like that too. The group is really open to share whatever you'd like to share with fellow job seekers. The only thing I ask is, this is a professional group, and I want to make sure that the people that are in the group for the right reasons. Meaning I want to have people come in there that are trying to sell to you. I want to make sure that we're being respectful of the group boundaries. And we've got about 800 or so people in the group. So it's a really easy way to grow your network, especially if you haven't crossed over that 500 connection threshold yet. So do check that out. All right, so we are going to go through a couple things here today. I'm going to start by introducing my all-stars. I'm going to pick a topic for today, and I want to talk about job applications as our topic today, because someone within our group reached out to me this week with a question about something on their job application, and they said, should I choose yes or no? And I did a post about it yesterday, and I really got a lot of engagement. Now, I do have to admit, I did reach out to a handful of people that I know that work in HR and that are or have a legal background. And I said, how do we need to answer this question? What is the correct way of answering? Because I'm not a lawyer. And a job application is a legally binding document, and we don't want the person to lie, but we also don't want to be giving you a disadvantage if you can say no for the question. And I'll talk about the question in a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a moment. What I'd like to do now is I want to introduce my fellow VIP all-stars, and these are individuals who help to support you. And either they themselves specialize in LinkedIn, or they serve job seekers through career strategy, resume advice, variety of different things. So the order we're going to go in, we're going to go Kenneth, Mindy. I'm going to add Christopher in there because he's helping us behind the scenes too. Sue, and who else? Was that it? Kenneth, Mindy, Christopher, Sue. Did I miss anyone? And Jay. Jay. Okay. All right. In that order, I'm going to see if you guys can remember, and I'm going to grab my cup of coffee while you do this. So you're on your own until I come back. There you go.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Kenneth Lang. I am here to support Brenda and everything that she does. I run a LinkedIn job support group as well. We do this Tuesdays from 1 to 2. My main focus is the 45 and older crowd. And a little bit about me. I've been out of work several times in the past, so I definitely see what the challenges are. I actually wrote a post about that today. So I really welcome everyone here. I've made so many great friends here, including another Kenneth Lang. And we have to talk later on about how we both do our profiles, because we can't personalize them the same way. Welcome everyone here today. Next week, if you're in the New Jersey, northern New Jersey area, on Wednesday at 6:30, we're going to be meeting in person for the first time in almost 3 years. So if you can get out there, it's been long overdue. And a shout out to Nancy who's on the call. I hope you had a great time in New Orleans, because I was just there myself. Have a great day, everyone. Kenneth Lang, and who am I supposed to be passing this on to? You, Christopher, or okay.
Thanks, Christopher. Thanks, Kenneth. So hi, everyone. I'm Mindy Stern. I, after spending most of my career in both recruiting and HR, human resources, I figured out that I get my energy and my joy from helping job seekers find their next jobs. I will tell you that the job market has shifted very much so for my clients who prior to COVID were mostly people who were not employed. Post-COVID, I have a ton of clients who are employed, but are looking for more and looking to do better. And so we work on their LinkedIn presence for sure, their job applications, their resumes, and everything that goes in between, including interview prep. One of the things that I started at the beginning of COVID was the Accelerator Group. And the Accelerator Group is for all job seekers. You're welcome to join us. It is a private LinkedIn group. And monthly, we host a special presenter to present a different topic. This month, January 11th, this Wednesday coming up, is Jeff Wallner is going to talk about how to sell your story, because we all have a career story, and he's going to give us his perspective of how to really sell that story. I have a few seats left. We have close to 90 registrations already, and I think I can only host 100 on my Zoom. So if you're interested in that, I am putting the link into the chat. Feel free to join us and participate with us on Wednesday at 11. It should be a great call. Happy to help you, ask you questions, happy to answer anything that you have, and happy to be part of this group. Thanks, Brenda. I think I'm sending it to Sue, I believe.
Christopher's next.
Oh, Christopher, you're up.
Good morning. Greetings all. I'm Christopher Johnson. The name of my company is Calm Clear Communications. What I do is help ease the tech headache behind the scenes to put on virtual events. Think conferences or working with speakers, trainers, and authors to help them get their message across in a virtual platform. Let me know if I can be of any assistance to you. And I'm passing it to Sue.
Thanks, Christopher. It's always hard to follow those dulcet tones. I love them. I'm Sue Griffey. I'm known as Sue Mentors, and you'll also see me. I'm the mentor with pom-poms. I celebrate all of our wins, big, small, and sometimes just because. I run a global mentoring practice around the world and spend time here on the VIP call. I've learned a lot from being here for 2+ years, but also to identify the ways in which everything global is starting to resemble each other. So a lot of US practices, for example, in job seeking, using ATSs, big organizations globally are finally doing those. Not that I love them, but they're doing it. And trying to make sure that everybody has equal access to and benefit from the best of what we all together, all of the all-stars here and generally can provide. So people, no matter where you are located in the world, you have the same access. Thanks. And I think it's on to Jay now.
Well, thank you so much. And I just want to mention that first of all, I must give this salute. Thank you so much, Brenda, for that from last time. And sorry, my voice is off a little bit. I just want to mention that I really love this group, and especially for those who are here first timers. When I have a very busy day, sometimes I get on intentionally because this will give me energy for the rest of the day. And I think it's really wonderful for that. And that's really a salute, thanks to Brenda and the All-Stars who were really just positive and wonderful and helpful. I'm a career coach, and my sweet spot is really helping people at the beginning of the process. I think I'm very good at helping people think through pretty quickly what they want to get to, and to clarify their focus and develop some language around that. And I work with people across industries, and I particularly like the intersection of media and technology. I find that pretty interesting. So thanks a lot, and great to be here. Thank you.
All right. How do we do? Do we get through everyone okay? I think we did. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. So we do have a couple first timers, and I always like to say good morning and welcome to all of you. And this gives me a chance to see who's on the call. So I want to just quickly go through my list. And as we are going through questions, as we are talking about advice, if you have something to contribute to the conversation, I want to ask you a favor. I want you to use the raise hand feature. So if you're watching this on desktop, go in your bottom menu bar, and I think it's under reactions, and you can try this out right now. Under reactions, click on raise hand, and you'll see the little yellow hand thing comes up over here. And it stays up until you pull it down. That way, if you do have a question, if you do have a success story, if you do have something you want to add to the conversation, I can see that your hands are raised, and that makes it a little bit easier for me. I'm going to try doing that instead of having a helper helping me out here today. Okay. So with that said, if you have a success story, I want you to go into chat right now and type in the word success, SUCCESS. I always feel like a spelling bee when I do that. SUCCESS. Put it in all caps, just like I'm doing right now, because it makes it easier for me to scan through and find you, but then also raise your hand. Use the raise hand feature. Okay. If you have a question about your job search, about your resume, about why you're not finding opportunities, about salary negotiation, whatever, you want to put the word question into caps and type in the question. So I'm going to put down question, do you drink coffee? And I'm just using that as an example. I want you to type in the full question, because if we can't get to all of your questions today on the call, there may be people who are on the call who can help you, and they might direct message you. They might follow up with you afterwards. I don't want anyone to feel like I was on the call and I didn't get what I needed answered out of that. Okay. And let me see who else is on. I want to say good morning and welcome to all of you. Megan, Nancy, Alicia, Angela, Carrie, Cheryl, Christine, Cindy, Cyril, David, Dean, Don, Eleanor, Felicia, somebody named Guest who's private. That's okay. HR leader, Janine, Jay, Jennifer, Jerry, Jill, Joan, Joey. Is it George or we're going to talk about name pronunciation today. We're going to come back to you in just a minute, sir. Jude, Kay, Kenneth, Christina, Laura, Leda, Lisa, Nicole, Paige, who's my intern, Rich, Rose, Rosemary, Scott, Stuart, Susan, Teresa, VF, Vic, the Pie Man Christensen, and Wendy. Welcome to all of you. All right, so I want to start with a discussion about job applications. And as I introduce this discussion, I'm actually going to share my screen because I want to share with you what prompted me to choose this as a topic for today. And this was someone had reached out to me and messaged me. And I encourage you, if you ever have questions, feel free to message me or to email me. Typically what I do is if it's a question that will benefit other people in hearing the response, I will post about it. I'm not going to identify who it was that was asking the question, and I will take out any details so that it can be completely anonymous, but it does allow me to put content out, and it also answers your question. And sometimes we can crowdsource some different solutions. And this is what happened. No, what is today? Friday? I think it was Wednesday night. I think the person had emailed me. And the question was this. They are working in a variety of contracting roles, and they were in a situation that as a contract employee, they really felt that they weren't given all the resources that they needed to do the job successfully. The employer, it was a short-term contract. The employer ended up giving them some resources on, I don't know what it was, day 27. I'm just making that up. And then the person wasn't able to turn things around as fast as the employer wanted. So on day 28, they said, your contract is ending. So now this person is applying for different jobs, and on a job application, there's a question on applications that says, I'm just going to highlight this on screen. The job application will say, have you ever been asked to resign or been let go from a position? And the person talked to the contract house, and the person at the contract house says you have to say yes, because your contract, your position was ended from that contract. So you have to say yes. And I said, I don't know about that advice, because as a contractor, you're not technically an employee. So you can't technically resign from the company because you're not an employee of the company. You would go to the contract house and you would say, I don't want to work for this company anymore. And you would terminate your contract with the company through your contract house. So I don't think, and I'm not trying to slice and dice here, I really think you can say no to that question, because in this case, the person didn't resign because there was not a contractual relationship between them and the employer. And they weren't let go from the employer because the employer has the contract with the contract house. So I felt like you could say no, but I said, I want to put this out because I have a lot of friends that work in HR, and I have some friends that are lawyers too. And I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, by the way. This is just general sentiment, and you got to figure out for yourself. So I posted our dialogue back and forth. And then I had messaged a bunch of people that I knew that worked in HR and legal. And I said, what do you think? And the question was, a job application asks if you've resigned or been let go from a position. A contract position ended early. Now, there's always two sides to every story. The employer might say they were never a good fit for the job. But by nature of a contract position, it is short term. And it kind of reminds me of that expression, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Because the employer did not open up a full-time position, probably because they weren't sure whether they could fund it for a salary position, or maybe because they were trying out a new position. They wanted to make sure they're getting the right person and the right fit. But at any rate, they didn't want to put all of their cards on the table and hire a person full-time. They wanted to go through the contract house for a short-term position. And contract positions by nature are short-term, right? So whether it was 3 months or 6 months, the employer was going to end the position. Now, sometimes contract positions do extend for an additional 3 months or an additional 6 months or an additional year, but it's always a start and an end date. So they have an out, right, in there. So in this case, this person was working a contract position. Do they need to legally say yes on the application? And I put the question out, and this is just community responses coming in. Majority of people said no. And each of these responses, I asked people to comment below. I'm going to put this link into chat right now in case you all want to look at this. Copy link to post, and let me put this inside chat so you can look into here. But the net, I think from just about everybody was my rationale, which is there's not a legal agreement between you and the employer. So technically you could say no. Now, everybody felt the same in that if you do interview with a company and they ask that question, you should disclose that you have had contract positions, which by nature are short-term positions, and they've ended at different points in time. So, you know, you don't want to like hide behind it. And I think what it would happen is if the employer were to do a reference check with the contract house, they would say, did Joey work for XYZ company? And the contract house would say yes, and here's the start date and here's the end date. I don't think they can say why the contract ended or when did it end, or did it end early, and was there a performance? I don't think they can say any of those things, but we all know the world that we live in isn't black and white, and life is not fair, and there's hierarchy, and there's politics in politics, and there's politics in corporate, right? So, and you can ask a question in a way that you can get a response without asking something illegal. So you can say, did she really work the full 6 months? And you can say, well, yeah, she did. And that's all I'll say about that. And that creates a big enough question mark in, you know, the process that might change the outcome, right? At any rate, job applications. I want to see if our experts, our all-stars, if you have any thoughts on job applications. My own point of view is these are legally binding documents. And if you're not sure about a question, check with your lawyer, preferably somebody who specializes in employment law. By the way, I'm going to give a plug for Legal Shield. If you haven't heard of this service, you can pay for access to an attorney network for a very low monthly rate without having to book an attorney. I use it for my business. Highly recommend it. So I'll just give a plug for that. I want to see, do any of the all-stars, you have any advice that you would like to offer as it relates to job applications? I'm just seeing if anyone's raising their hand. Mindy is raising her hand. So Mindy, go ahead. And then Sam, we will go with you next because I see that your hand is raised.
Okay, so I did respond to your post, Brenda. My thinking is that generally in a job application, if they ask that question, it's a yes or no answer. You know, have you ever, fill in the blank, you know, left a position or been fired from a position? If you write the answer, yes, I have, it's a red flag. And you don't generally have an opportunity to explain that or how the contract ended. I always look at a question very carefully and look at the wording. If the question is, have you ever been fired from a position? And the thought process is that it's an employment position. And this young lady or this person who was speaking with you, anonymous, is in a contract role. It's not a employment position. It's a contract, which is intended to end. It's not, there's no agreement to go a period of time. They can end it at any time. So my answer was, in a simple way, you don't need to disclose that because there's nothing to disclose. You're in a contract position and it ended. It happens every day of every year in every contract. So that was my 2 cents.
So Mindy, were you saying the person could say no to that question?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, all right. So some different points of view. And I did have like one person who was a lawyer reach out to me and she's like, Brenda, you can't give people legal. I'm like, I'm not. I'm posting on LinkedIn. You're not paying me for legal advice. I'm not in a contract. I'm just like, this is general entertainment advice, conversational thing. But I said that's part of the reason I'm reaching out to other people is I don't want this person just to go with what I'm telling them. I want them to hear differing points of view. So if you want to say, don't take any of our advice, talk to a lawyer, go ahead and post and tell her that, right? And I had, for the majority of people said you could say no. There was a couple people that said you had to say yes. And I thank them for their point of view, right? We all have different points of view. I respect that. So thank you for that, Mindy. I think Sam had her hand raised. It might have been a leftover from earlier. So I think her hand came down.
No, I did, but
Oh, okay.
I thought I would come on later because it's actually for my success story, but I will comment because I'm in HR too, but I'm just starting in HR and I'm also in Canada, so the law is different. Depending on where, if you're in because I don't know what the US laws are, but I mean, I think it's a pretty sticky situation, where if the employment, they're asking for that. I mean, I don't know. I would say no, even though, yeah, your contract was ended early, but the thing is with temporary contracts, like fixed term contracts is what we call them here in Canada. They are, like you said, they're supposed to be a fixed term. They're short. Usually employers are putting them in because they're trying to test out people. They're trying to test out the job. They're trying to test something. There's usually a reason for it behind it. And I mean, sometimes, they also expect in contract positions like that you pick it up really quickly. Like they're expecting people to hit the ground running. And the thing is, no matter what job it is or who it is, no matter how much experience you have, there's always some learning curve. And sometimes the employer's expectations are a little too high. So I would just say no. And if it comes back, just explain what happened. But yeah, I think you need to be able to give an explanation to those sort of things when it's under contract. It's different when it's a full-time job, then you definitely have to kind of say yes, but
yeah. What I liked what you said about that too is they don't give you I think Minnie said this too, they don't give you a place to like clarify what it was.
Yeah.
So if it were me, I would think about like and I want all of you to remember this too, a job application is a legally binding document. We don't ever want to lie on a job application because if the employer discovers that during the review process, you may not get the job because they're saying you lied on the application. Or let's say you get the job, you said you earned a bachelor's degree and you didn't. They may say, well, that was a requirement for the position, we're firing you. And we don't want anyone to get into that situation. But when in doubt, either talk to somebody outside of the organization, like somebody who is in employment law on that question, or talk to the recruiter or hiring manager you're interviewing with and say, I notice there's a question that asks us if I've ever resigned or been let go. I have worked in a variety of contract roles, which were short term. I just want to make sure that that doesn't apply to contract roles. And then you get, try to get it in writing, even if you can, like through an email or something, because then you have an email chain on that. Try to get clarification on that. And I think, Sam, to your point, you're in Canada. And I had a couple people I messaged and they said, I'm not in the US. Our employment laws are different. I don't feel comfortable helping to answer that question. So, you need to be respectful and understand the rules of the territory that you're in.
Yeah.
Sam, you said you had a success story. So before we take you off the screen, what's going on with you?
Yeah, another one of my applications came back positive, so that's great. They have quite the process. I haven't actually had an interview yet, but I'm working towards it. They had a psychometric assessment, which I passed through. Now I have to do a video interview, which I'm going to do later today. I wanted to do this call first, get myself all pumped up from the great feeling I get from these things. And so, yeah, so I'm working through another process. So this is my second one. So last week I also had one, which I'm still waiting to hear back. So it looks like things are taking off for me and we'll see. Hopefully we'll have something soon.
That's awesome. I feel like I mean, it's exciting to see, and there's been several people who've gone through our Friday VIP office hours where this has happened. It's like nothing's happening, and all of a sudden this girl is on fire. Like she's getting resumes right and left, and job applications and interviews are happening. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed for you, Sam, that at some point in the future, near future, we're not going to see you on the calls, not because we don't like you, but because you will be back to work. Before I take you off screen, though, is there any advice you want to offer to your fellow job seekers about this particular interview situation, how you got it, or any advice you want to share with others?
Yeah, this was actually done through an online application, which we know is not the best way to look for a job, but it is what you have to do too, right? So you just kind of keep filing those resumes out.
Did you do anything beyond the application? Did you try to make?
I didn't do anything beyond, but I will tell you that I revamped my resume. So, and I think that's why things are changing. And I've been doing that all along. And I think maybe finally I might have one that's kind of working. So,
Awesome.
yeah, if you're not getting, like, if you're going more than, like, like when you're applying online, if you're going, I mean, some people will say differently, but if you're going more than, I would say, a month without getting anything positive back, anything at all, you should be looking at your resume, because you're not putting yourself forward properly to those jobs. And unfortunately, revamp your resume. You also have to tailor your resume to every job. So it takes a lot of time, but you do have to find a way of tailoring it so that you're giving them the skill, especially when you're like me, who has a lot of very broad skills.
Yeah, trying to get it in. All right. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, keep tailoring.
I'm excited for you. I appreciate you sharing that advice with our fellow job seekers on the call here today. I'm optimistic, and hopefully this will lead to something for you. We'll have more successes hearing from you in the future. Before I see that, Jude, you have your hand raised. I'll have you go next, Jude, and then I want to pull up an email that we got from somebody who's on our group who can't come on today because she got a job and she's starting today. So I'm going to pull that up in the background, but Jude, I see that your hand is raised, so I'll have you go next if you don't mind.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to add something to the conversation regarding the contract position. So, because that question came up, it really made me think that even if you're thinking of accepting a contract position, to really ask those questions. What kind of tools am I going to be given? Am I going to be given a certain training period with those tools, so that you do position yourself with the contract position that's going to be of value to you, and that you will be of value to the employer as well. And also, just to reinforce what Sam was saying about the resume, I'm going to be a little bit more, I don't even know what the word is, but Sam said if you haven't gotten an interview in the and you've been sending out your resume for a month, you need to revamp it. I'm going to say if you've sent out 5 to 10 resumes and you haven't gotten an interview, you need to look at your resume again. Don't wait for a month. You can send out a lot of applications in a month. So, keep track, 5 to 10. And if you're not getting any interviews, please do take a look at your resume and see how you can amplify it to demonstrate your fit for the position. That's it. Thanks, Brenda.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Jude. And I was thinking of you on that question too. I have heard, and I don't know what the time frames are, but just to add on to what you and Sam had both said on there, that if you are applying to jobs and you feel like you're a good fit, you got the qualifications, at least maybe 75% of them, it's a good fit, like they should be calling you back is what you're feeling. And you're applying to jobs on a regular basis and you're never getting any phone calls, then the issue may be your resume. And I love that advice that you shared. So I know there's a lot of people that are hesitant about paying for someone to do their resume for them. I want everyone on the call, if you have any resources for resumes, drop them into chat right now. there was one, and I can't think of the name of it, where you upload your resume and you upload the job application, and jobscan.io, I think is the name of it, where you can do a comparison. So if there's any free resources that you know of that can help with resume review, drop them into chat. If anyone on the call has paid for somebody to help them with their resume and you've enjoyed the service, you've enjoyed working with the person, you would recommend them, put their name into chat. Or if you have their website or something, put that into chat. I know there's a couple people in my All-Star group that do help with resumes. Jude, I know you help with resumes because your name says resume. Mindy, do you help with resumes too?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anyone else on the
I
call?
want to add one thing, Brenda, to
Oh, go
this
ahead.
conversation.
Yeah.
I think that beyond the resume, and yes, I do resumes every day, absolutely. But I think for some people, they're not understanding the full concept of the job posting, and they're posting for jobs that they're really not quite qualified for. And so something you said, Brenda, that you need to be about 75% qualified for the job. You don't have to have 100% of the skills, but it's some people are trying to position and transition into jobs that are a big leap, and the company's not going to dig into it and try to understand what you're trying to achieve if it's a very big pivot. So I just want you to think about what you have in your past experience and what you can leverage into the new job. That might be another reason that you're not hearing back. It could be the resume for sure, but it could also be the skills that you currently have, and maybe you need to rethink those a little bit.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Mindy. And picking up on that story again, if you're applying to jobs where you are a fit and you're not hearing back from those employers, it may be an issue with your resume and you may want to get your resume revamped. There's free resources. People are putting them inside search. You can pay for an expert to do it. Alternatively, reach out to your college or university's career services department. As an alumni, many colleges and universities will provide resume review free of charge. Some will ask you to join the Alumni Association in order to get access to that service. Even if you graduated 30 years ago, it's still available to you as an alumni for many institutions. So check with them. They may be able to assist you. I always like thinking about going to the experts because they have a trained eye. They know the techniques. They're not just designing it to look pretty. They're designing it to help you to get a job. So that's the first step. The second step is if you're getting first level interviews, whether those are phone screens, in-person interviews, whatever, and you're never making it past that phase. This is going to be kind of harsh to hear, but I want you to hear it. It might be your interviewing style. You might not be a strong interviewer. And I'm saying this with love. I want you to be successful. I don't want you to be on my Friday phone calls because I want you to get back to work. But you might be doing things in an interview situation that are doing you a disservice. Maybe you're twiddling with your hair a lot and you don't even realize that's a nervous tick. Maybe you're not making eye contact. And I want you to watch right now. I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm talking to all of you versus looking at the camera and showing enthusiasm in an interview. And you might not be showing enthusiasm because you're nervous, right? And that might be coming across to them, not as nerves, but as disinterest or a lack of energy. I've interviewed people and I'd rather go with people who seem energetic and driven, even if they don't have 100% of the qualifications, versus people who have 100% of the qualifications, but they don't seem interested at all. They seem like they're really like, maybe they were nervous, but I didn't pick up on that. I picked up on that as disinterest. So if you're getting interviews in the first round, but you're never making it past that, it might be the way that you are interviewing. Now, I know that there are people in the group here who have done interview club together. Megan Voges, are you still on the call right now? Are you doing that anymore or not anymore?
Usually about once a month, but we're doing it more on a one-to-one basis. Like if we're doing a small group, Mindy and I had talked about this, I think last year too. If Mindy's toying around with the idea of how do we restructure this so it's a little more elevating your interview skills, basically what it is, and this is what I recommend, and Mindy, please chime in if I'm off base on this. If you were struggling with getting past the first round interview, or if you were making yourself sick prepping for the first interview, you need to build yourself a community and reach out to the job seeker group to get some experts who have interviewed others to help you receive some constructive feedback. Commonly asked what like is really interviewing. Could someone who's been in an interviewer position help me rehearse my answers such that you don't have the average Sally, Ken, or Joe, Ken, no offense,
None taken.
sitting down with you going, oh yeah, I would answer it this way, that way, but they've never been a hiring manager. And then you need to open your mind to exactly Brenda's point, that feedback is good feedback and you can't be defensive. Everyone in this room wants to make everyone in this room better. So the answer is yes, Mindy and I are toying with it. So just keep your eye on the VIP job seeker group for more information, but we really want people who want to improve and aren't in that defensive mindset.
So Megan doesn't know this, but I pulled the trigger on the try. And I actually yesterday had my first interview, we called it a boot camp. It was sensational. I kept it small on purpose because I wanted to see how we could work it out. I have 2 more sessions planned, January 19th and 26th, the 2 Thursdays in a row. I have space for maybe 2 more people in those. We had 4 yesterday. So I have space for maybe 2 more people. I don't want to get too big because then everyone doesn't have the opportunity to practice. But if you're super shy and you don't want to practice, this is not the group for you. This is for if you want to practice in a really safe and non-judgmental and nurturing environment where we say with love, slow down a little bit. You're talking way too fast. I love Brenda's trolling your hair because I had a client once who used to like rub his nose constantly. He was constantly, it was like a nervous tick or something. I said, what are you doing? He says, oh, he didn't realize he was rubbing his nose. I said, that does not look good. Stop. And so sometimes just hearing this, and we had a great group yesterday. So if you're interested, just type it in the chat and I will try and get you into one of those 2. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, if you haven't built your list of kind of 10 scenarios, connect with Sue. She can tell you a little bit about why it's so important to build out your 10 stories and make sure you can interweave them into different questions. So.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I'm going to pull up this email. I don't know if she said I can share her name, so I'm not going to share her name because I didn't get that permission. I said, can I share your story? Did the people that were on the email, did she say it was okay if I shared her name? I don't know if she did.
She didn't say that, but she was open to saying, yes, share the story. So you don't need to share the name, just.
I don't have to share her name. Okay, I'm not going to share her name, but it's a her, it's a she.
Yeah.
So this person said, and I just want to give the abridged version of this. And part of what we talk about in the group is like, keep searching all the time. And she said the owner contacted her after Christmas. So, and today is January 6th. So I have to believe it was between Christmas and New Year's Day that she was contacted, which we all think the job search is like a wasteland that week. Like, don't do anything, right? Well, that person got a phone call or an inquiry from the hiring manager that week. So that's one thing to take away from this. What else? The position is full-time. It required a skill, Excel, that she did not have. So she said, hey, I don't know it, but I'm willing to learn it. The person who helped her is on the call. If you could nod your head and say if it's okay if I mention you by name. Okay. Veronique knows Excel. And the person in our group reached out to her and said, can you teach me Excel? And she got on a Zoom call. They went through, Veronique showed her how to use Excel, I'm sure some basic skills. She completed the test that was required for the job application. And I think she went to the library, which has Excel. The owner said it was super impressed, like that she took this initiative and figured out in her network and within her resources, she found a person that could train her. She went to her library, got the skill, and he was just like impressed the heck out of him that she did this. He ended up making her an offer. It's not quite where she was at a previous position, but there's flexibility and there's a bonus plan. And I just want to share this too. One of my last corporate jobs, I took a pay cut. And it was, I don't know if it was like 5 or 10,000. It was like lower than what I was making. I'm like, I can't take a pay cut. I'm moving up. Sometimes you got to take a step backwards to go forward. And I want you to remember that if you are a good employee, you're top performing, you're going to be rewarded for that. And you're going to be compensated for that over time. Or if not, you can leave. But it's always easier to find a job if you have a job than if you're scrambling to make up that income. So I want you to remember that. They interviewed, went great. He said, can you start Friday today? So she's at her job starting today. And she sent an email saying, I'm not going to be on. And she didn't even get the chance to tell us, I don't think, about this opportunity because it came up in between all of our calls. I'm hoping she'll be on at some point in the future. But I just want to, this was like, what time did she send this email? It was like 12:24 last night. I got up at, I think it was like 6:37 this morning. And this is the first email I read. To me, this is what I do this for. And I know the All-Stars feel the same way. We do this to help all of you. We do this to provide resources, to provide support, to provide a community. You pay us when you send us these emails. Like, this is like worth so much money in the world to me. When I see an email like this, I'm getting like emotional thinking about it. Like, it's just such a cool thing to see. Had this group not existed, Veronique wouldn't have taught this person Excel. I mean, there's one thing that came out of it. Had this group not existed, this person may not have thought about going to the library, because Megan talks about going to the library, using your resources all the time. There's so many things that are great about this group, this community that we have created. So I love, love, love to see the success stories when you are back to work, not if, because you're going to get a job someday, my friend. You are going to be back to work. When you go back to work, I want you to either come on the call and share the success story with us, or send us an email and send it like this person did to all the All-Stars, Jude, Kenneth, Mindy, Sue. I'm not sure who else was on there, but send us a note and just tell us, hey, I got a job. Thank you for, the thank you is payment for us for our time being on here. That's what makes it all worthwhile. So that's a success story that was shared.
Brenda, can I just jump in for a minute? Because I did
yeah.
get the same email. I wanted to say this, the employer is unusual, or it seems to be unusual in this day and age. And I just want to make sure everybody hears this. He apparently had the other person on the phone, a team member, and on the fly said, well, don't worry about the Excel. We're going to realign someone's role to this. And we want you to be front facing, because they can tell Val, she's extroverted. She loves to make friends. And so good for him. He realized that he didn't have to have someone fitting the exact box. So I just want to give everybody hope that there are employers out there that are still realizing, I get most of what I need. Now let's realign the team and do the best for each other. Thanks.
You made a really good point there too, Sue. They said that Excel was a requirement for the job. So she tried to learn Excel, and then she came into the interview saying, I'm starting to learn it. And he was so impressed by her interviewing skill and her initiative and her enthusiasm for the position. He's like, if you don't know it to the point that we need it, we're going to shift that to somebody else, because we're going to have you doing other things. So sometimes it's just getting your foot in the door for the opportunity, which is a really good point. So thank you for sharing that. I missed it.
Could I piggyback on that real quick too? You mentioned the library thing. Christopher Johnson and I, you will find, are proponents of our library. And I just dropped the Slack or in the chat, a LinkedIn Live that Chris and I did during Library Lovers Month in February of last year, where we talk about why we love libraries for job seekers or for entrepreneurs. And in that LinkedIn Live, it is packed with all kinds of free resources your local libraries offer you, from Detroit to Cleveland to Kansas to California to New York Public Library. So Kenneth, I know is because you've got your library up there, right, Ken?
Yes.
That you use all the time.
Definitely. And we're going to actually be going in person, which is even more exciting. Yep.
So if you listen to that LinkedIn Live, or you want to know if your library has something, connect with Christopher or myself or Ken. We'll gladly put you in touch with a librarian that we know that knows somebody else in the library space in your neighborhood. So
awesome. Thank you. And I want to remind everyone too, if you do have a question or a success story, I'm looking through chat just to see anything, but please use the raise hand feature so we can raise your hand and answer your questions before we end the call. We'll probably be ending in about 10 minutes or so. I do want to comment on, I've seen a few people in chat saying similar things, which is they've made it to second round and then been eliminated. I want to offer advice, and I want to see if our All-Stars want to offer any advice on that too. Getting some practice with interviewing, I think, will be important, but also, like, sometimes it's just not a good fit. You're not a good fit for them. They're not a good fit for you, whatever. It's just not going to work out. And someone, I don't remember who read it from. They said, when you hear the word no, think about next opportunity. So when they tell you no, you're not a good fit, just mean there's go on to the next opportunity. There's other jobs that are out there for you. But I would also encourage you, when you get to that phase and they say, we've decided to go into another direction, ask the question, is there anything in my experiences that you were looking for that caused you to move on to this other person? Or, could we, even saying, could we keep in contact, because I really enjoyed meeting with you. If there's another opportunity in the future, like sometimes just keeping that door cracked open, it might not be completely slammed shut forever. There may be some opportunity in there. And if you're making it to the second round, you pass the interviewing threshold. So I feel like sometimes it's just a fit. And I've had this situation before where I've had 2 or 3 top candidates and I'm like, which one should I give it to? And it's really challenging sometimes making that decision. So just to offer that to a few of you, and I'll move us on here. Cheryl, I see that your hand is raised. Cheryl, do you have question, comment? How can we help you today?
Yes, thank you Brenda. Thank you for doing this. And I also have to give a shout out to Rosemary that I had a call with earlier today that she reminded me, she's like, you got to come back to Brenda's calls. So I was in your first group way back when, back in the day.
The OGs, right?
And, I will become a regular now. This is just fantastic. And I love your energy and what you do. I have the question in that, and again, I know I said this, but Rosemary, thank you again for helping me get on the call today. My question is, when you're in that interview, this just happened to me. I'm a senior level HR person, blah, blah, blah. I've been around the block, master's degree, well qualified, at least I think so. And I was set up for a peer interview with somebody. It came across to me as if she felt threatened some way. I wouldn't be taking her job. They're thinking of growing the team. But the first question was, you've had a lot of job moves. Why? And then I even heard, well, this is change management. You're an HR person. I don't see where we need HR on the team. When somebody seems to have some type of bias for whatever reason, and this is my impression, when somebody has some type of bias, does anybody have any good ways of how to get past that, or how to, again, this was just a meet and greet. And all of a sudden I was getting asked these hard questions like, whoa, where did this come from? So any ideas, any suggestions? Thank you.
All right, all stars. Any suggestions for Cheryl? Please use your raise hand function if you could. And then I'll call on you. I'll pull myself up to the screen while we're waiting. Oh, Jude's got something for you. All right, go ahead, Jude.
So Cheryl, I'm going to give you a little bit of tough love. Even if it's a meet and greet, you be prepared for the worst of the worst, right? Be prepared because you never know what you're going to get, and not being ready for those types of questions or can leave you kind of feeling attacked, actually. And you might have actually been right on the spot. That person might have felt defensive and felt like maybe their job was in question. So, your role would be to reinforce that you're in HR. That's your wheelhouse, and you're not interested in change management when you're speaking to that individual person. But yeah, always be prepared for that kind of aggressive kind of conversation. Because you never know what you're going to get, and it's better to be prepared and have a pleasant surprise than to think, oh, this is just going to be a conversation, and then be like
and you're
gobsmacked by the actual experience.
You're absolutely right. And that was my miss, to not be prepared for that. But this is an add to the team. I have an HR background, but this position is an add to the team. We're all in change management. We're all going to be in that world. So I'm doing a little bit of a pivot. And again, her background was communications and she's in change management, but this is an add to the team. So when you're adding to the team, but you're coming with good experience too, and you're being perceived as competition. And again, when you're talking about large companies, I don't understand why there's not more room for more than one, but how do you overcome that piece? And maybe that's interpersonal, maybe it's larger than this conversation, but that's kind of where I'm at that too, or where I'm at also.
Well, you know, you don't have any control over that individual person, right? And so I suppose, you know, one of the things you could talk about is, like, without knowing what she actually said or what the conversation was, it's kind of hard to give any suggestions. But what I would do is try and figure out what she's concerned about, or what areas she's thinking that I may be harmful to her. And then trying to address those and reassure her that where you can, I guess, that, you know, you see this as a collaborative type of thing where your expertise and her expertise blends together to create this change management. So try and identify what her fear is, I guess.
Thank you, Jude. Mindy, I see your hand is raised as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to say one thing, and everyone needs to listen. In this world, not everyone's going to get you. And if they don't get you, they don't get to have you. It's okay. Okay? Just like when we're in a relationship, not every person is going to love you. It's okay. You need to find a place that will get you and will be happy to have you.
Yes.
So I wouldn't push. I've been in situations where people are threatened by me for whatever reason. It's okay to say, so great getting to know you. This is an amazing company. I wish you all the best. And if you ever need me, come and find me. There, you can't change someone's perception if they have a very different, yes, amen, I see that. 100%, they have to get you, and it's a dialogue, guys. This interview process is not you on a firing squad, but you have to answer every question. You have to see if it's a good fit for you. I cannot tell you how many clients I get because they are in a very bad situation. They have skipped to no job. They hate the culture. They hate their manager. It's not the right fit. You got to find the right fit for you. So don't push it. And I don't worry if you can't answer a question. And if you sense that about someone, trust your gut. Trust your gut. You're not going to be happy there anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Okay. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl, for asking that question. And I always encourage people to ask questions on these calls too, because if you have a question, there's a good chance that somebody else on the call had a similar situation happen to them. And if it hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen at some point in the future. And they may be hesitant about bringing it up. And I'm not sure if Joey's still on the call, but Joey and I, when we first met, we were on Clubhouse and we would share questions back and forth. And I would encourage the audience on Clubhouse. I would say, if you have a question and you're nervous about asking because you don't want people to know it was your question, you could come on and you could say, I have this friend who was wondering about salary negotiation and she told me this happened to her. Is that what she should have done? Like, you can invent a friend or a coworker, and that's like our way of looking at each other, that it was really you. So don't be shy about bringing up those questions. And if you ever have a question that you don't want to ask inside the call, because this is on YouTube, you can email me and we'll do an anonymous. But I want to be able to help you. Okay, so thank you for asking the questions. And this is your time. I've heard people before saying, well, I didn't want to ask a question because I didn't want to take up too much time. This is your time. This is VIP job seeker office hours. These are your office hours. Like, our virtual door is open to you. We want to make sure this is good use of your time. Now, if Stuart comes on week after week and he's dominating the call, I'm going to corral you, Stuart. You know, I'm going to do that, right? I'm not going to let you dominate the call. I'm going to be like, Stuart, I think we talked to you a bit last week. If you don't mind, we're going to answer Rosemary's question to start. If we have time at the end, we'll go back to Stuart. And by the way, if nobody else asks any questions and we're low on dialogue, I'm going to give Stuart the floor because he's the only person asking questions, right? I'm picking on you, Stuart. You know I am. We're going to move into the book drawing right now. Let me share my screen and pull up my wheel of names. Wheel of names is like awesome. If you have ever had the opportunity to do a prize giveaway and you're like, how do we do this? Use Wheel of Names. I'm going to put it inside chat right now. It's free and you can put custom colors in there. And as I did, you type in names of people that want to be included in on the drawing. So I want to remind everyone, if you came on the call late, I had a situation where this gentleman, it's a little bit hard to see, his name is Charlie Martin. He's a realtor in Florida. He ordered and paid for my book off of Amazon, and Amazon gave him 2 copies. They sent him one and then they sent him a second one. Charlie found my address. He mailed me a check. He actually mailed it to my old address. The post office sent it back to him and then he found my new address. And I'm like, through all this effort, I wanted to just cancel the check and tell him you don't need to. But I was like, he put so much effort into getting me this check. I kept it, I cashed it, but I wanted to create a neutral karma because I didn't want to get money for something that I didn't put something out to the universe. Like I didn't pay for that book on Amazon. Amazon did it. So I put his business card on the front, and whoever wins the book, I want you to connect with Charlie on LinkedIn. Let him know that I gifted the book to somebody within the group, and you never know where those connections can lead. Why are there only 10 names? Because you have to put your name inside chat if you want to be included on the drawing. Actually, what I want you to do is type in the word book in all caps and put that into chat. The only requirements I would say is that you have not already purchased a copy of the book for yourself and you've not won a copy of my book. So you don't get 2, you get 1. At least the freebie. If you want another one, you can go buy it. I'll ask Paige, my intern, to put the link in there so you can go buy a second one. But the only people's names who are in there are people who've already put their name or the word book next to their name inside chat. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to enter Sam, Cheryl, and I won't do the drawing until I make sure that I have everyone in here who wants a chance at it. Angela, Kenneth, you have a copy of the book. Oh, that's the other Kenneth Lang. I'm going to do Kenneth Lang, Detroit. Because I was thinking Kenneth Lang.
There we
and
go.
I know, I know some of you because I remember writing your autograph. Okay, Jennifer, Felicia. Let's see here, Carrie, VF. I think I might have yours. Oh no, I don't have that in there. All right, did I get everyone? If I do not have your name on the prize wheel, I want you to go into chat right now and type in the word book again, because I might have missed you. You do have to be present to win. So if you dropped off of the call, you do not get the chance to win a copy of the book. All right. I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom of chat. I'm looking at you all in another window right now. So we have more than 10 names. Thank you, Felicia, for asking the question, because there may have been people who, like you, missed the original chat I put in there. All right, Don, I'm going to put your name in here too. Okay. Do I have everyone? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, so here's how it works on Wheel of Names. We click on the wheel. I'm going to hold up my elbow so you can see that I'm not cheating. I'm going to move away from the computer so you can see I'm not picking who this is. This is randomly selecting the winner. Ah, Kenneth Lang from Detroit. It was like this close. It was so close. Jennifer, congratulations, Jennifer. Jennifer, I want you to send me an email. I'm going to put my email in chat right now, brenda@mellermarketing.com, mellermarketing.com. Jennifer, you will need to email me your mailing address, and I'm going to the post office with my dog shortly. She loves going for car rides. And I'm going to put this little Post-it note on the front cover, Jennifer. So if I can get your address like right away, Jennifer, I'll get this in the mail to you today. So there it goes, Jennifer, on the front copy of the book. There you go. So we got a prize of giveaway going here today. Where's my little stop share button? Close. I can't figure out how to go back to Zoom. Are you guys seeing the prize wheel on screen right now, by the way? Okay. Like, did I do that wrong? Stop the share. Okay, so there it is. Jennifer, I'm gonna have a little Post-it note. You'll have a little autograph from me on the front cover. of the book there too. So congratulations. And thank you again to Charlie. I'm going to tag him in the post. I'll probably share the YouTube video and let him know that we did this on his behalf. He created it. All right. We're going to be wrapping up. So a couple of few reminders as we finalize our chat here today. First of all, reminder that this is every Friday in 2023. I'll say still excluding holidays, but we did pretty much go through the holidays in the past year. We went the Friday after Thanksgiving. We went the Friday of Christmas weekend, which I believe was also Hanukkah week. We're pretty much here every week because when you are in career transition, the Friday of Thanksgiving week feels like a Friday. It doesn't feel like the Friday of Thanksgiving week because you're not working during the week. So even if it's 5 or 10 people, we will still have the call. If I can't make it, which has happened a few times, there will be other all-stars who will be running the call on my behalf. Now I might be on vacation and forget that I said I was going to turn the Zoom over, and then I get a text message from Kenneth Lang and Christopher Johnson saying, can you start the Zoom? But the call will still happen. Reminder to go into our private unlisted LinkedIn group if you ever have any questions or resources that you want to share. If you can't get into the Zoom, remember that's our flagpole, 4 doors down, where we are meeting, where we can centralize. Paige, if you could drop that link into chat one last time. For those of you that are not yet a member, please visit that group and click on the request to join button. I will admit you. And this is not something that you can find through the group's directory. It's unlisted. Private means it does not show on your profile. So any activities, conversations that happen are only for group members. Okay. So do make sure that you join that group. You can download chat before you leave our call today. To download the chat, what you're going to want to do is navigate to the chat button. In the lower right-hand corner of the chat, there's 3 little dots. Click on the 3 little dots and you'll see an option that says save chat. Now, I do not download the chat and email it out to everyone. If you're watching this on a phone and you want somebody to do that for you, go into chat right now and say, can someone email me the chat? Because I'm trying to keep these meetings going week after week after week, and I've got to reduce all of my administrative part of it. Otherwise, I'm going to stop doing the calls because it's too much. Okay. So that's my gift to you, is my time in bringing together the all-stars. You need to make this as self-sufficient as you can for yourself getting into chat. Hope you guys understand that. Just want to keep this going. One other thing is actually 2 more things. We have created a checklist called Do This Now with the help of everyone here in the group. I'm going to ask Paige, my intern, if you could please drop the link into chat. This is a checklist of items that you should do immediately if you are laid off, let go, even if it's been a while. Still look through the checklist of items like do this now, things that nobody tells you that you should do, but you really should do if you are in career transition. Okay, so make sure that you've downloaded and checked out that resource. And the final thing I'll share with all of you is if you do come across anyone on LinkedIn who is unemployed, who has been recently laid off, let go, in career transition, whatever fancy corporate term you want to say, tag me in their post. And all you need to do is just go into comments and just say, Brenda Meller has some resources that can help. That's like your way of winking to me, and I'll wink back by replying in a comment, and I will invite them to come into our Friday VIP group. You certainly can send them right to the Friday VIP group landing page if you want, but you're not going to remember it. So just tag me in on the comments. You don't need to explain why you did that. I will know that you wanted me to share the VIP group link with them. And that's a way that a lot of people find out about this group. There's a lot of you who are like ambassadors and apostles of the group, and you spread the word. So continue to do that. My goal is to create this community that you don't have to feel like you're alone. This is a very isolating process for you to go through when you're in career transition. And I don't want you to feel like you're alone. I want you to feel like you have a team that you can come to week after week until you are back to work. And you will get back to work someday. But until then, we are here for all of you. With that said, I want to thank my all-stars and all of you for attending here today. Thank you to Alicia, Angela, Carrie, Cheryl, Christine, Cyril, Don, Eleanor, Felicia, Janine, Jennifer, Jerry, Jill, Christina, Lisa, Nancy, Nicole, Paige, Rose, Sam, Scott, VF, and Vic, the fireman Christensen. Thank you so much for attending all of our call today. It's 11:30. I know we went a little bit long. That tends to happen. I am going to stop the YouTube right now, and I'll keep the call open for about 5 minutes. If you want to download the chat or do anything more, and I look forward to seeing everybody next Friday. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and we'll see you next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.